High school. You probably know a lot about it. On Disney Channel and stuff like that, they portray high school as being like a prison, with mean teachers, students, and math problems. But I found it to be much more enjoyable than that. While elementary school was great, I've loved high school even more. Most of the teachers are great, and there are a lot of nice students too. However, my school has one huge downside: the condition of the building. My school was built in the late 60s when there was a big push for union schools, especially in rural areas like where I live. Union schools have a lot of advantages, but the chief idea is that there's a larger community to support them. With each town having their own school, each town has to pay for their own small school by themselves. But with union schools, a few different towns can all contribute to pay for one big school. A bigger school with more resources also means more opportunities for the students. With a small school, you can't do as much because there isn't enough money or space to do it. But with a big union school with lots of money, you can do way more. Like have a swimming pool, take a metal shop class, or 3D print stuff. When my school was built in the 1960s, it had a lot of good technology for the time, like asbestos floor tiles and insulation. The school was an amazing new thing, a vast improvement to what we had before. However, it hasn't aged very well at all. This school, which is fast approaching its 50th anniversary, has never undergone any major repairs or renovations. The closest thing to a renovation it's had was when they redid the floor of the gym. But they only did that because a huge pipe burst and caused the wood floor to become warped and unrepairable, rendering the gym unusable. The school has barely passed federal regulations, and only by cutting as many corners as possible. Some of these shortcuts are so ridiculous, they're laughable. My school has a couple chemistry labs. Apparently, after they built the school, new regulations were added to what chemistry labs needed, including a chemical shower. What this is if a student spills a dangerous chemical all over themselves, they need a way to get it washed off of them. And so every chemistry lab needs a shower head with working water so that the student can run over, stand under it, and get the chemicals washed off themselves and their clothes. My school, which needed to install one of these, decided to do the bare minimum of what they had to, like always. This meant installing the shower head, but no drain of any kind. What this means is that if you actually used the shower, the chemical-soaked water would pool up on the floor in a huge puddle, and because the floor is a very slight tilt, this chemical water puddle would slowly move to the other side of the room, and eventually go through the hole drilled into the floor for wires, and soak directly onto the Wi-Fi modem and other expensive electronics. This is what I mean. This is the kind of corners they cut. The taxpayers in the towns would rather save a few bucks not getting a drain than stop deadly chemical water from pooling on the floor and leaking into our electronics. But more is wrong. It's more than just cutting corners. There's also a lot of bad planning in the school's design. So, also in the chemistry lab, we used to have gas pipes. This was good for doing experiments that involved heating up compounds. At one point, though, they realized that there's a severe safety risk with our current gas piping setup. The kitchen also uses the gas, so our pipeline in the chemistry rooms connects to the kitchen's pipeline. However, if there was a fire hazard and the gas needed to be shut down, guess where the emergency shut-off valve for the pipeline is? It's in the ceiling of the kitchen, which is on the other side of the school. They realized what a hazard this was and completely disconnected the gas pipeline to the chemistry rooms, so now we don't have gas. Guess they thought that us blowing up the science wing because we couldn't run all the way down to the cafeteria fast enough wasn't something they wanted. Anyways, there are far more things I could rant about, but here are a few things that go to show just what condition this school is in. At one point in the school's history, a new wing was built. It has maybe 10 classrooms, I think. But this new wing has air conditioning, while the rest of the school does not. Thus, we refer to the new wing as the AC wing, because that's what's different about it. The rest of the rooms can get swelteringly hot in the summer because half of them don't even have windows. The windows we do have are really old and falling apart. Most of the stuff in the school goes unrepaired unless it absolutely needs it, because the taxpayers don't want to spend money on anything. Of course, the risk of old ceiling tiles occasionally falling on our heads because they haven't been replaced in 30 years isn't the only problem. Our school's design has other problems. The school was actually designed by someone who normally designed prisons, though he doesn't seem to be aware of the difference. One feature of our school is the area with the math rooms is laid out in a 2x3 grid, with the hallway on one side and the soccer fields outside on the other. So if you have any classes in the classrooms facing the outside, you have to walk through the classrooms between yours and the hallway in order to get to class. Going to the bathroom during class, you have to walk through another classroom to do that. Going to the nurse, fire in the room, and you need to evacuate, same thing. Also on the subject of fire, our building has no automatic sprinkler system. Fires will keep burning until someone intervenes. School architects, you think you might have saved space and money with this design, but let me tell you, it's much cheaper to install an automatic fire sprinkler system than it is to rebuild an entire high school that burned down because you couldn't be bothered to spend more money than you needed to. Overall, our school building is a mess that is the result of bad design in its conception, and taxpayers not wanting to pay any money to repair the school. But I still enjoy going there. The teachers and students are great. It's just that with all the safety concerns, the facility could really use some improvements. Anyways, that's all the complaining I want to do for today. Thanks for watching. But I fell in deep by running the distance I've been advised to keep. I trot to the wolf as a doubting sheep. It's wrong, but I want it tonight. Fear until I